There's a shelf in the dairy section that didn't exist 20 years ago. An entire refrigerated wall, floor to ceiling, dedicated to one product in dozens of brands, flavors, fat percentages, and protein claims. Greek yogurt. It appeared seemingly overnight, went from niche import to mainstream obsession, and now outsells regular yogurt in many American grocery stores. Fitness influencers eat it by the tub. Doctors recommend it. Nutritionists call it one of the most efficient protein sources in the food supply. But if you ask most people why Greek yogurt is different, not just thicker, but actually different, they hesitate. It's higher in protein? It's strained. True. But that's like saying a car is faster because it has an engine. The question is, what does that actually mean for your body? Let's start with what Greek yogurt is. Mechanically, all yogurt begins the same way. Milk is heated, then cooled, then inoculated with live bacterial cultures, usually Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus. These bacteria ferment the lactose, milk sugar, into lactic acid, which thickens the milk and gives yogurt its tangy flavor. Regular yogurt stops there. Greek yogurt takes an additional step. After fermentation, the yogurt is strained through a fine cloth or filter, removing much of the liquid whey. This concentrates everything that remains: protein, fat, if it's not fat-free, calcium, and beneficial bacteria. The result is a yogurt that's roughly twice as protein-dense as regular yogurt, with a thicker, creamier texture and less sugar per serving. Sounds simple, and it is, mechanically. But that one extra step, straining, changes the food in ways that ripple through metabolism, appetite regulation, muscle recovery, gut health, and even blood sugar control. Here's the part that surprises people: the protein content. A typical serving of Greek yogurt, about 6 ounces, or 170 grams, contains between 15 and 20 grams of protein, depending on the brand and fat percentage. For context, that's roughly the same amount of protein as 3 large eggs, or a small chicken breast, except you're eating it with a spoon, straight from the container, in under 2 minutes. And the protein isn't just quantity, it's quality. Yogurt protein is primarily casein and whey, both complete proteins, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids in ratios that support muscle synthesis, immune function, and tissue repair. Whey is rapidly absorbed, delivering amino acids to the bloodstream quickly. Casein is slower, releasing amino acids over several hours. Greek yogurt, because it's concentrated, gives you both in a single serving. This is why athletes, bodybuilders, and anyone focused on muscle preservation or recovery have gravitated toward it. It's not a supplement, it's not engineered, it's just dairy, fermented and strained, and it happens to have a macronutrient profile that's almost ideally suited for muscle protein synthesis. Studies have shown that consuming 20 grams of high-quality protein within a few hours of resistance training significantly enhances muscle recovery and growth. Greek yogurt hits that target in a single serving, with the added benefit of being cold, portable, and requiring 0 preparation. But here's where it gets more interesting than just high-protein food. The bacteria. Greek yogurt, like all yogurt, contains live cultures, probiotics. These are microorganisms that, when consumed in adequate amounts, confer health benefits to the host. In this case, the host is you. Your gut contains trillions of bacteria, collectively called the microbiome. This ecosystem influences digestion, immune function, inflammation, mood, and even brain function through the gut-brain axis. The composition of your microbiome, which species are present, in what ratios, has been linked to everything from obesity and diabetes to depression and autoimmune conditions. Yogurt doesn't recolonize your gut with new permanent residents. The bacteria in yogurt pass through, most of them dying in the acidic environment of the stomach. But even transient bacteria can have effects. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that regular yogurt consumption was associated with improved markers of metabolic health, lower fasting glucose, better insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation. The mechanisms aren't fully clear, but the hypothesis is that the probiotic bacteria, even temporarily, interact with the gut lining and influence immune signaling. Greek yogurt retains these live cultures even after straining, though the concentration varies by brand. Some brands add extra probiotics back in after processing. Others rely on the naturally occurring strains from fermentation. If you see "live and active cultures" on the label, that's what it means. The bacteria are still alive when you eat it. And that matters, because dead bacteria don't ferment, don't interact with your gut, and don't confer the same benefits. Now let's talk about what Greek yogurt does to hunger. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. It suppresses ghrelin, the hormone that signals hunger, more effectively than carbohydrates or fats. It also stimulates the release of hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1, which promote feelings of fullness. Greek yogurt, because it's protein-dense, produces a strong satiety response. People who eat it for breakfast report feeling fuller for longer and consuming fewer calories at lunch compared to those who eat carbohydrate-heavy breakfasts like cereal or toast. There's a study from the University of Missouri that looked at this directly. They gave one group of women Greek yogurt as an afternoon snack, and another group a lower protein snack with the same number of calories. The Greek yogurt group reported significantly less hunger, ate less at dinner, and had better appetite control throughout the evening. This is why Greek yogurt has become a staple in weight management protocols. It's not magic. It's just a concentrated source of protein and fat, if it's full fat, that keeps you satisfied with relatively few calories. But here's the catch. Not all Greek yogurt does this. Walk down that refrigerated aisle again and start reading labels. Some Greek yogurt containers list just 3 ingredients: milk, live cultures, and maybe a stabilizer like pectin. Others list milk, live cultures, sugar, corn syrup, natural flavors, fruit puree, food coloring, modified cornstarch, preservatives. The second version might contain 15 to 25 grams of added sugar per serving. That's more sugar than a glazed donut. At that point, you're eating yogurt-flavored dessert. It still has protein, it still has probiotics. But the metabolic effect is completely different. Added sugar spikes blood glucose and insulin. It triggers cravings. It undermines the satiety effect that protein would otherwise provide. And it converts what should be a nutrient-dense food into something closer to candy. This is the hidden divide in the Greek yogurt market. There's real Greek yogurt, plain, unsweetened, with nothing added. And there's sweetened Greek yogurt, marketed as healthy but functionally closer to a treat. Both are legal. Both are labeled Greek yogurt. But they are not the same food. Let's zoom in on lactose for a moment, because this is genuinely important for a lot of people. Lactose is the sugar naturally present in milk. Many adults, particularly those of African, Asian, Native American, or Southern European descent, lose the ability to produce lactase, the enzyme that breaks down lactose, after childhood. This is called lactose intolerance, and it affects roughly 65% of the global population to varying degrees. When lactose-intolerant people consume regular milk or yogurt, the undigested lactose reaches the large intestine, where gut bacteria ferment it, producing gas, bloating, cramping, and diarrhea. But here's where Greek yogurt is different. The fermentation process converts much of the lactose into lactic acid, and the straining process removes even more lactose along with the liquid whey. The result is a dairy product with significantly less lactose than regular yogurt or milk, typically around 4 grams per serving, compared to 12 grams in a cup of milk. Many people who are lactose intolerant can eat Greek yogurt without symptoms, especially if they choose full-fat versions, which tend to have even less lactose than fat-free. This makes Greek yogurt one of the few dairy options accessible to people who otherwise avoid dairy entirely. Now, the gut-brain axis. This is one of the more fascinating areas of recent research. The gut and the brain communicate constantly through a network of nerves, hormones, and immune signals. The vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, runs directly from the brainstem to the abdomen, transmitting information in both directions. Your gut microbiome produces neurotransmitters. Serotonin, for example, the feel-good neurotransmitter associated with mood regulation, is produced predominantly in the gut, not the brain. Roughly 90% of the body's serotonin is synthesized by cells in the intestinal lining, influenced by the bacteria present. Emerging research suggests that the composition of your microbiome can influence mood, anxiety, and even cognitive function. Studies in mice have shown that altering gut bacteria can change behavior. Germ-free mice, raised in sterile environments without any gut bacteria, exhibit abnormal anxiety-like behaviors that normalize when they're colonized with healthy microbiota. Human studies are more limited, but early data is intriguing. A trial published in Psychiatry Research found that people who consumed probiotics daily for several weeks reported reduced stress and improved mood compared to a placebo group. Greek yogurt, as a regular source of live probiotics, may be contributing to mental health in ways we don't yet fully understand. It's not a treatment for depression or anxiety, but it may be one small factor in the larger ecosystem of things that support emotional resilience. Let's talk about calcium and bone health, because this is where Greek yogurt has a complicated story. Yogurt is a good source of calcium, a mineral essential for bone density, muscle contraction, nerve transmission, and blood clotting. Most people know that dairy provides calcium. That's not controversial. But here's the twist. Greek yogurt contains less calcium per serving than regular yogurt. Why? Because calcium is concentrated in the whey, the liquid that gets strained out. A cup of regular yogurt might contain 30% of your daily calcium needs. A cup of Greek yogurt might contain 15 to 20%, depending on the brand. Some manufacturers add calcium back in after straining to compensate. Others don't. If calcium intake is a priority, if you're at risk for osteoporosis, if you're vegan and rely on fortified foods, if you're an athlete with high bone turnover, then the type and brand of Greek yogurt matters. Read the nutrition label. Look for % daily value for calcium. If it's low, and you're choosing Greek yogurt specifically for bone health, you might be better off with regular yogurt or a Greek yogurt brand that fortifies. This isn't a criticism of Greek yogurt. It's just a reminder that straining changes the nutrient profile. You gain protein concentration, you lose some calcium and B vitamins. It's a trade-off. Here's something most people don't know. Greek yogurt is an extraordinarily versatile base ingredient, not just a snack. It can replace sour cream on tacos, baked potatoes, or nachos. Same texture, tangier flavor, far more protein. It can replace mayonnaise in tuna salad, chicken salad, or coleslaw. Creamier, less processed, higher in protein. It can be used as a base for smoothies, adding thickness and protein without the chalky texture of protein powder. It can be mixed with herbs, garlic, lemon, and olive oil to make tzatziki, a Mediterranean sauce that pairs with grilled meat, vegetables, or pita. And in baking, it can replace oil or butter in muffins, cakes, and pancakes, reducing fat while adding moisture and protein. This functional versatility is part of why Greek yogurt has penetrated American food culture so thoroughly. It's not just a health food, it's a culinary tool. People who start using it this way often find that their protein intake increases naturally, without effort. A spoonful in a smoothie, a dollop on a bowl of chili, a swirl in oatmeal. Small additions that compound over weeks and months. There's a question that comes up often: full fat versus fat-free, which is better? The answer, frustratingly, is it depends. For decades, fat-free or low-fat yogurt was considered the healthier choice. The logic was simple. Fat has more calories per gram than protein or carbohydrates, so removing fat reduces calories and supports weight loss. But newer research has complicated that narrative. Full-fat dairy, including full-fat Greek yogurt, has been associated in several large studies with neutral or even beneficial effects on weight and metabolic health. One possible explanation is that fat increases satiety. People who eat full-fat yogurt feel fuller and eat less overall. Another is that the fat in dairy may influence gut bacteria in ways that improve metabolism. A meta-analysis published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that full-fat dairy consumption was not associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease or weight gain, and in some cases was linked to lower risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Fat-free Greek yogurt, on the other hand, is higher in protein per calorie and lower in total calories. If you're in a caloric deficit for weight loss and you need to maximize protein while minimizing calories, fat-free makes sense. But if you're eating Greek yogurt for satiety, flavor, and overall nutrient density, full fat may be the better choice. The key, as always, is context. What are your goals? How does this food fit into your overall diet? Are you eating it plain, or are you adding honey, granola, and fruit, which add significant carbohydrates and calories? There's no universal answer, but there is a thoughtful answer tailored to your situation. Here's a quieter observation, one that doesn't make headlines but matters in daily life. Greek yogurt is one of the few high-protein foods that requires no cooking, no preparation, and no cleanup. You open a container, you eat it, you're done. For people with busy schedules, parents, students, shift workers, anyone navigating a chaotic day, that simplicity is valuable in ways that go beyond nutrition. It's a protein source you can eat in the car, at your desk, standing in the kitchen at 6 a.m. before everyone else wakes up. It doesn't need to be heated. It doesn't need to be assembled. It doesn't create dishes. In a culture where convenience often means processed, high-sugar, low-nutrient foods, Greek yogurt offers a rare combination: convenience and quality. That alone may explain much of its success. Let's come back to the bigger picture. Greek yogurt isn't a superfood. It doesn't cure anything. It won't transform your health on its own. But it is an example of something rare in the modern food landscape. A minimally processed, nutrient-dense, protein-rich food that's accessible, affordable, and versatile. It supports muscle recovery. It stabilizes blood sugar. It promotes satiety. It delivers probiotics that interact with your gut. It can be eaten plain or used as an ingredient. It works for people who are lactose intolerant. It fits into weight loss diets, muscle-building diets, and maintenance diets. And when you choose the right version, plain, unsweetened, ideally organic if possible, with live cultures listed on the label, you're getting a food that does what food is supposed to do: nourish, sustain, and support. The challenge, as with so many foods, is navigating the market. Not all Greek yogurt is created equal. Some is exceptional. Some is candy in disguise. But now you know how to tell the difference. Read the ingredient list. If it's short, milk, cultures, maybe a stabilizer, you're in good hands. If it's long and sugar is near the top, you're buying something else. Check the protein. Real Greek yogurt should have at least 15 grams of protein per serving. If it's lower, it's been watered down or not strained properly. Look for live and active cultures. If it's there, the probiotics are alive. If it's not, they may have been killed during processing, and choose the fat percentage that makes sense for your goals. Full fat if you want satiety and richness. Fat-free if you want maximum protein per calorie. There's something satisfying about understanding what you're eating. Not in an obsessive way. Not in a way that turns every meal into a calculation, but in a way that gives you agency, that lets you make choices based on what's actually in the container, not what the marketing claims. Greek yogurt has become so ubiquitous, so embedded in American food culture, that it's easy to forget it's still food. Still a product. Still something worth understanding. And when you do understand it, when you know what makes it different, what it does in your body, how to choose well, you're no longer just consuming, you're participating. That shift from passive consumption to informed choice is small, but it's the kind of small that compounds. If this kind of thing appeals to you, Looking at everyday foods and actually understanding what's happening? Then you might want to see what else is here. One video a week. Same depth, different topic. Subscribe if that sounds useful.